So my name's Leah, and this is my sister Michelle, and you guys are siblings, I'm guessing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what are your names?
I'm Keegan.
Keegan
And I'm Haven.
Okay, and so you guys have a large dairy, a family farm?
Yeah, we don't own it, but we're the sons of our father, who owns it.
Right, yeah. It's all in the family.
Yeah, and so we've worked there all of our lives, pretty much.
Yeah. So what brought you here today?
Well, I can't really remember how it started, but I got turned on to Joe Salatin somehow.
Okay.
I think it might have been through Mark Baker. We live quite close to him in Michigan.
Okay.
And I started reading Joe Salatin's books, and I showed them to my dad, and we both were, not that we were hard on conventional, but converted. We agree. I mean, it's hard to argue with reality.
Okay.
And so we grew up on the dairy farm, and even my dad has said there's land that we've had that hasn't gone up in organic matter for 60 years.
Wow, okay.
While he's been farming it. And so looking at that, and with support from our dad, we're looking to learn how to heal the land and to make good, nutritious, clean food for us. And
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
So
really exciting.
that's a big switch from a larger dairy. Do you mind saying like how big? I mean, how many head of cattle you do? I mean, do you
About 1,500 milking.
Oh my
in our area.
You milk
Yep.
1,500 I'm assuming
So around-
a day?
3 times a day.
3 times a day. Holy cow. So that's 1,500 3 times a day. And
Or is that
what?
divided throughout the day, or is that they all get milked 3 times
We have
a day?
1,500 cattle that are milking at any one time, and we milk those cattle 3 times a day.
Oh my God.
And so when you look at the price point of what you guys are getting a gallon versus we buy our own raw milk at $8 a gallon, what does that do to your brain when you think about what you're not making?
Right. Well, you look at how hard dairy farmers in our area work, and the way the industry has been for, since 2015, 2014. It's laughable. I mean, the profit margins are constantly getting smaller. The only way for large,
Yeah, it's changed a lot. The dairy industry it's changed a lot. And looking at our farm, milking 1,500 cows, we can't we can't sell that much milk to the people that live next to us.
Sure.
We can't do it.
Right.
And so just looking at something down the road that's more sustainable, makes more sense. We can get the kids in on. I mean, as kids, we worked on the farm and did chores that no longer exist, right? My sons can't do the things that I did as a kid because those small things don't exist anymore.
Wow.
And so just looking for something that can get the family in, and it's more industrial.
Yeah.
There's a lot more stuff that goes on. When I was little, we milked, hundreds. Now we're 1,500.
But you needed to go up to the 1,500. Like you're not making that much more money versus the hundreds.
and at 1,500, that's enough to support one family, the owner. So if we were interested in it, which we're not now, and my dad has realized because his intention was to grow something for that his kids could take over, but even he knows and he admits that it's grown into something that is completely different than what it was.
Right.
So even if we were interested, we'd have to double in size just to support.
So I have a
more.
question, because we always hear about the raw milk laws being pushed forward by Big Dairy. Now, they're supposed to be supporting you guys that have a fairly big dairy farm, and yet everything that they're doing is harming you guys, right? Am I right?
So there's so many variables to all of this, and it's just all these dairymen and all these people, they all have the best intentions. Everybody does, and
Road to hell is paved with them.
And the way it is, it's not good. It's just not good at all. And so we're just looking for something to start small and do it ourselves and get our families involved. Just do something different.
I love it.
To are you looking to do raw milk or to pasteurize and sell or?
At this point, and a lot of people wouldn't believe this, but I've never milked a cow in my life. Believe it or not. Isn't that insane? That a dairy operation milking 1,500 cows a day.
Yeah,
I've worked there for 20. I'm 23 years old. Worked there.
But you've put
I've been doing chores there.
He works.
Is it all mechanical, or have you? Did you
I've not. I haven't worked a day in our parlor.
There's
I
enough
work.
work. He
I work
stays
full
busy
time.
Sure.
not milking
Just supporting, just keeping pens bedded.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah,
and
sure.
all that stuff. So it's changed so much. You
Yeah.
know, my dad used to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Now I can't do that because there's just too much.
Right.
And so
Kind of reminds me of a monoculture within a monoculture. Like a monoculture is, you just do the dairy, right? But within that, you have your specific job. And
Right.
if you're not just like diversifying what you do throughout the day, which must be a little bit monotonous.
It is. It is. And the monotony is what drove me to finding something else, because I've always had in the back of my head, this isn't, the Gothic portrait of the farmer with the pitchfork and his wife on their small farm, and it doesn't offer the same benefits that does. It's, you don't want kids around on the farm because there's,
It's just kind of
10-ton machinery rolling
10
around
ton-
all the
oh,
time.
yeah.
And so it's just different in that way, and it's just, and you can't diversify because we're CAFO, right? Certified CAFO.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have other animals on a CAFO.
I didn't know that.
I did
So
not
we can
know
only
that.
raise cattle on
only
our
do cattle.
operation. Yeah.
And as farms grow, and as the small farms go out, the number of dairy farms goes down, but the number of regulators stays the same. So all these regulators,
Need a
they
job.
can focus down, right? And so
yeah.
there's more scrutiny on every operational dairy farm. And we want, as producers, we want to produce high quality products.
Yeah.
We want to take phenomenal care of our animals.
Yeah.
Even if we hated animals, we make more money when they're happy, right? And so we want to do the right thing. Everybody wants to do the right thing that's in this
Right.
job, but
Right.
it's difficult.
Yeah.
And it's getting more and more difficult
Yeah.
in this specific area producing that much milk.
So are you guys hopeful?
That's what I was going to ask. Is there hope? Do you coming away with hope?
Yes, and it's coming from, even at this conference, we milk 1,500 cows. We're a massive dairy operation.
I can't even imagine.
We're the bad guy, right?
No, you're not the bad guy.
Not the bad guy, but that's how we're painted.
Sure, sure.
And even Joel says that, yes, they have good intentions, but what they're doing is wrong, and that is true. But just know that there's people like us out there
You've
who
been backed
I
into
feel
a
like
corner.
I was going to say you've been boxed into this type of farming through the regulations.
And for people who own these operations, if their switch is flipped, if they're in a situation where they have massive debt, which everyone in this dairy industry
gosh,
is,
Sure. 'Cause
if
all
they
the
read
machines.
pastured poultry profits and they're like, I got to get out, they can't.
Right.
They can't. They're stuck in a system that doesn't allow them to opt out.
Wow.
So it's hard.
So
Yeah.
generationally, though, you guys are trying to be the shift. Like, Dad
Yeah.
is
Well,
doing it this way, and
it's a-
now we're going to do it.
It's a shift, but also it's carrying on the same thing. We want to do what Dad does. We want to work hard and provide for our family.
Yeah.
We want to do the exact same thing Dad does.
Yeah.
We just
Right.
want to do it in a different way, and Dad wants to do it in a different way too.
Isn't that amazing,
That's
though? That's
phenomenal.
fantastic that he's like on board because, trying to imagine going from a couple hundred cows to the reason I'm sure he added, you're up at 1,500 is because this is what I need to sustain.
Well, and our father, he has 6 kids, right? We have 4 siblings, and at one point, our entire dairy operation, Dad built a new parlor and expanded, and a year later, it burned to the ground in a tragic fire. And at that point, that father of 6 and a good man decided, do I expand again because I'm going to build again in the future, or do I get out of the dairy industry?
Wow.
And caring about cows and caring about people, he decided the best decision was to build bigger and keep going.
Yeah.
And so it's not like, it's just we're all trying to make the best decisions we can.
Yeah.
Every generation is doing it.
But if you can make the changes, then it can retroactively affect the farmers that are still stuck in the system. Like, you guys
Show
can
them
help
the way out.
pave the way. Not even just show them, but actually literally help this make it easier for
And
them.
and this is a tough question because if you read Joel Salatin's books and his opinion on these large CAFO operations with the massive and specified infrastructure to support just CAFO factory farming, he basically says, I don't think he's wrong. They basically have no other use. Burn them down.
Wow.
What
And
do you do
that's-
with the buildings? And
When you start getting farmers who want to get into this industry, no one has run a 2,000 head milking dairy and went the other way successfully.
Sure.
There's no blueprint for that yet.
well, you can. Are you guys Christians?
Yes,
Well, then God can show you how to do it.
and I believe that. I do believe that.
We serve a miracle working God, and if He's put it on your heart to regenerate His land, then I'm believing that He's going to show you a way out. He's put it on your heart. You can do it. You can be the pioneer. Yeah. You can be the Daniel Boone of reversing. This. You read the book, and something in your heart said, my land doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel right, and that was probably the Holy Spirit.
You should be able to make the same amount of profit
Yeah.
and not work less, but I feel like when you have 1,500 head of cattle, you're burning yourself out. Like you're spreading yourself so thin, and it's something that literally was thrust upon your dad in this system where he should be able to make the same amount of money and relax and enjoy the job.
Enjoy it. Yeah, make it easy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, we have a small little we raise pigs and chickens, but we get raw milk from an Amish farmer who started small. He moved from Kentucky because it's easier in Ohio to sell raw milk. And what he's done is we all signed and bought into the herd share, but he has added many things to sell to I guess I don't know how many families he got. Probably he started at like 30, then he had 50, now he has 100, and he's got 25 cows, and he sustains his entire family on the 25 cows. Plus he's got the raw milk, they sell the cream, they sell the butter, and then they butcher the milk cows and they sell that meat out.
Back to because he can sell it to us because we already own parts.
Because we already own parts of the cow, and then he sells the pigs, and then his kids do the pastured poultry. So when you diversify, if you're able to diversify, you can make more money and sustain your family. It's thinking outside of the box that we're told to think in. So I'm very excited for you guys.
Thank you.
And to see somebody, and you actually should mention this to Joel that you're here, that you're trying to come out. You read the book, now he needs to have a book for y'all. Is there a Joel book for somebody like you guys?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if there is.
It's a rare situation.
Is there a book?
It's
Is there
the-
a Joel
it's-
book
it's
for
the
somebody
most-
trying to get out of a 1,500 acre cattle farm?
1,500 head.
1,500 head cattle farm and go down. That's their frustration. Is there a book? She's read them all.
Well, it's easy for us because we don't have any skin in the game, right?
Okay.
I don't have any debt or ownership associated with the farm. I'm an employee,
Okay.
so it's easy for me. But for my dad, who's in the position
Yeah.
of
Right.
just piles of debt,
Yeah.
it's an insurmountable hole almost. Yes.
Interject. At a previous conference where we were about 4 years ago, Joel got that same question, and he said you transition small at a time, incrementally. So the people asked the question because they had like a 2,000 acre grain farm or something that they were dealing with, and he said you don't transition the whole thing all at once because you'll upset you'll ruin what you've already got. He says you transition 10 acres to doing this way. And then as that's doing well, you do another 10 acres and then another 10. And so that you don't disturb the structure that's already there. You don't want to lose the land doing something that might not work out the first year.
Or the first 5.
So he had answered that question at that last conference.
That's good.
Well, thank you guys so much.
I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah, please be in touch.
I was cold all alone. No place for home every day. So afraid, but you call